Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side. Know that they ride or die. I keep boys by my side.
Day we hustle, but the night we.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Wrestle Theory. And I got a special guest for you. As you know, me and Devin Uso, we always keep it, real, keep it respectful, keep it, just awesome as much as we can. And it doesn't get more awesome than this. We have former ECW world champion in the building, freaking ECW hardcore icon. Like, it's such an honor to have him on here. Just incredible.
What's going on, fellas? How are you?
Pretty good. So Devin Uso, if you want to start the questions off, or I can start questions off, either one. Or you got anything to say before we start?
No, I was gonna say, first off, thank you for coming. It's so much awesome to have you here. And I know it's been 2 years since you and Alvin last did a podcast, so I'm sure a lot's been going on. How's everything been going with you?
Everything's been actually pretty good, man. I cannot complain at all. Things have been, even with everything going on in the world, things have been great. Things have been moving along just fine, and couldn't be happier. Actually, things have been really good.
That's good. That's great to hear.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there was a lot we touched on in the podcast that we did for the People's Choice, my other podcast channel. And so this interview, I try to keep it, a little different and not dive in so much on, the ECW portion. So I'm going to start off with Aldo Montoya. So when you got to work as Aldo Montoya for the WWF, you was also paired with Jake the Snake for quite a bit.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you, what was your experience like working with Jake the Snake Roberts?
It was great. I mean, Jake, he's such an amazing mind for the business. And he was kind of looking for a bit of a, Vince was looking to do something with Jake. Although he didn't really, he was looking to kind of, because if you could recall, he was in the King of the Ring finals against Stone Cold.
Yep.
The year Stone Cold won it. And so they were trying to do some stuff with Jake. Even though he was on his way out of, let's say, being in his prime, let's say, but they still wanted to use him. So I think it was one of those ways to kind of keep Jake on television doing something and not necessarily have him in the ring all the time. So
that is true.
Smart. Keep him healthy too. That's smart.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys talked on your last podcast that it's too much wrestling to keep up with all the time because there's a lot of good wrestling right now. So you more were watching AEW. So would you say now with a lot of the regime changes stuff in WWE, you've been starting to tune back into WWE at all?
No.
Okay.
No, I just, like everybody else said, well, not like, I don't know, depending on who you ask, but I watch, if I hear something's going down, if something is special, if it's a big pay-per-view, I'll watch, of course, but if it's just, I don't watch Mondays and Fridays, Raw or SmackDown. I don't watch, their smaller pay-per-views. I just don't, man. I work full time. I have a life outside of wrestling. And to me, it's just, it's just nothing is all that interesting anymore for me. And it's not that they're not doing interesting stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say that it's not that they're not doing good stuff. I just, I've spent so much time to wrestling. It's like now, especially doing the AEW review show for Vince Russo. Like, I've reviewed every AEW Dynamite, and let me tell you, that's challenging.
I can imagine. Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that in the last podcast.
So,
you could piggyback off that.
Yeah. Sure. But, it is what it is. So, and I have to do that, we're recording on Wednesday, so I have to do that later on tonight. So again, it's still a lot of wrestling for me. And, so it is what it is.
No, I 100% agree with you. Me and Alvin were talking about how like I watch a lot of my wrestling through YouTube because I don't have time to sit down for 3 hours a night to watch Raw, 2 hours a night to watch SmackDown. It is a lot. So I watched a lot of the clips to try to keep up like current. Same with AEW. That's how I watched a lot of my AEW stuff too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and it can get hectic, but and I want to
ask
a lot
of wrestling, man.
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, just AEW alone, you have Dynamite that's 2 hours, then Friday, which is 2 days later, really, you have Rampage on Friday night. Then 24 hours later, you have 2 hours of live Collision. That's 5 hours of AEW.
Yeah, a week, and then on top of that, the dark matches too. If are they still doing that?
No, they're not.
No, they're not.
Oh, okay.
Thank God.
Yeah, I know. Right? Thank God.
But
so much AEW programming out there, and I heard actually they for their pay-per-views they're actually working on a deal with HBO Max to try to get the pay-per-views on there, so people don't have to spend all that money.
That'd be really smart for their pay-per-views.
What's your thought on that, Justin? For them doing that?
Look, I think streaming is certainly the way to go in the future. It's been the way. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. So, if you could find a home like that, I think it would be great. But we'll see what happens. I don't see it happening in the foreseeable future. But I did hear that they are looking for a streaming partner, which would be helpful because a lot of people do not have cable anymore. I don't have cable. I watch it through different that's why the ratings, you could arguably say, are so low as well, because very few people have cable. They stream, and there are other ways that they can watch. So I think that has a lot to do with the decline, moving more and more from basic cable to other platforms, including streaming.
100%. And I wanted to ask you about your experience with Dark Side of the Ring. So I love that series. It's real informative on a lot of episodes. He was there for the Plane Ride from Hell episode, and I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about how the episode turned out and your total experience with them?
My experience with them was great. They first class operation. I mean, they were very, very accommodating, very cool. I thought it was fine. I mean, it's just basically they just brought me down to a location in Philadelphia, and just asked me a bunch of questions. I mean, it was very, very straightforward, and you kind of know what they want from it in ways. I mean, they ask legitimate questions, but the questions are kind of like, they're guided. They kind of ask questions.
They lean you towards the answer.
Of course. And that's fine. That's the kind of show it is. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but they were cool, man. I like what they do. The producers are great, good people. And, I think it's interesting and good for the business in one aspect, but I always hate the negativity. Hence the title is Dark Side of the Ring. It's always sunny in pro wrestling. But it is what it is,
And I really enjoyed that episode because even though like the whole situation was kind of messed up, how they talked about it, and plenty of people talked about it from their point of view, but I did enjoy the episode. I thought you did a really great job.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. But we are living in such a weird cultural place that, 20 years ago or whenever this happened, I even forget how long ago it was. It was in 2001. Mm-hmm. So you guys do the math, 21, 22 years ago, whatever. Yeah. Times were completely different. And, just you can't say the things, like you can't say anything anymore without getting canceled. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of things that we just kind of, we didn't mean any harm. I think people today, especially younger people, will be like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean? Yeah. It was a different generation, man. It was just different period. Acceptability. That was everywhere. It was, wrestling was sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's no different than watching, Motley Crue behind the music. What do you think happened? you know.
Yeah.
That was one of the
It's like,
dopest things I ever heard anybody say about wrestling, by the way. I love that.
you know, but it's ridiculous. It's like I don't know what they think was happening. I mean, you know, and then you start talking about rape and consensual and like or a
Yeah,
sexual
I
assault, not
felt
rape.
so bad for Tommy Dreamer. Like he
But
was getting
poor
all the
Dreamer,
heat on his comment,
he
which it
didn't
was
do
like, man.
anything, bro. He didn't do anything. Of all people, you know what I mean? The nicest guy on the plane. So it's just wild. It's wild to see that happen. And it was just, again, we were going through a certain phase in our culture. Again, if I think the interview came out today, I don't think it would have as much of an impact. I mean, we were just kind of, the headlines were, you know, it was like right in the middle of this storm that was happening with sexual assault. And hey, look, it is what it is, man. But again, you know, I was just listening to a Joe Rogan podcast with Kurt Angle, and he was talking about, you know, one of his buddies was talking about going out with Flair, and the same exact thing you would picture: Flair in the bar holding court with three stewardesses, you know, flight attendants on one side, and three, you know, whatever lady doctors or nurses on the other, and just all kinds of debauchery. It's like, that's never going to change. That's what it is. So
yeah, that's Rick. Yeah, all the stories.
Yeah, that's what it is. So,
Devin, you want to go next with the question?
No, I'm good right now. I'm trying to.
Okay, cool.
What else?
Yeah, because you know, I like to go just back and forth, like you know, on like, you know, from his experience and then like current, you know, stuff that's going on. So if I could go on with the current one too. The biggest news is like Jade Cargill from AEW. And, you know, Justin, you watched her literally from her debut all the way to, it looked like her final match on Collision, and she's heading to WWE. What's your thoughts on Jade Cargill heading to WWE?
I think it's a good pickup for the WWE. I think she's got a great persona, she's a great physical specimen. I mean, she's
literally what I say. Yeah.
She's in such amazing shape. And she's much bigger than a lot of the ladies in the WWE. You know what I mean? A lot of the ladies in the WWE are a little shorter, so Jade really is a super athlete. And I think it's a great pickup. I think, though, that being said, she will have a bit of a hard time, man. I don't know. But what I'm trying to say is she might have a bit of a hard time adjusting to that WWE style, because there is a certain style there, man. It is really different when you go from any other company, even myself, being in the WWE prior as Aldo Montoya, wrestling in ECW for 4 years almost, and then going back to WWE in 2000s. The style was, you know, you had to change up your style because it is so different. I don't know, you know, she has so little experience in the wrestling business. Hopefully she has the right people in the WWE to help her. And I hope she will take to it. I hope, you know, because it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a hard transition, but if she can acclimate to the WWE system, which I believe she's smart and she's very good and determined, I think she'll be just fine, because I think they see money, and I do as well with her. So it should be great to work with Charlotte Flair, you know.
Yeah, oh man, I can't wait to see her tingle with Charlotte, Becky. That's gonna be a good one too, especially if she gets
Rhea, Bianca.
Just
a lot of opportunities. So hopefully, you know, she won't be ready, you know, by the end of the year or anything like that, but maybe by the end of next year she could be a real force.
Definitely. So another question I wanted to ask you too, which we didn't actually talk about on the podcast we did before, but I was watching like the trailer of your movie that you had, and I'm just blown away by just how in depth it was, and just the trailer just grabs you. And I was just wondering, like, is the movie, from what I was reading, like you said it was finished, but I don't know if it's out already or what's
it is still not out. With all the hardships of COVID. And then now what's going on with writers' strikes and all the stuff in Hollywood, we have had a hard time finding a distributor. So, we're it's a done movie. Everything is set in place. So we just have to shop it around. And if all else fails, we might release it on YouTube somewhere down the line. But once you do that, you kind of really give up on making any money. So we're not at that
devalue the movie.
Well, yeah, we're not at that point yet. But hopefully we could still shop it around.
Definitely, because I was looking at it, I was like, wow, like this is just amazing. It's amazingly shot, and it was done. And even like one of the scenes where you was like on the bridge, and me growing up in Waterbury, I'm like, I know exactly where he was at there. It's right. Man, so it really hits home for me too, because it's like, wow, sure. I really hope that it everything smooths over with that. It's just
I hope we can find someone for sure. I mean, it'd be great. It's you would think it would be a no-brainer because of all the streaming platforms that are available. I just, knowing what I know, I don't know if we, and I'm not trying to talk shit about anybody, but I don't know if the people behind it, producers and stuff, are the right people to sell it. We've had some not problems, but it's just, it just really hit a snag. So we'll see. Maybe the interest will rise up again in the future. Because again, you spent tens of thousands, and I'm not exaggerating, tens of thousands of dollars to make this footage and to get this stuff. It'd be a shame if it didn't see the light of day.
That's so true.
Yeah.
And then but one thing I learned, unfortunately, in Hollywood, and now, not that this is Hollywood, but in the movie making business, you'd be surprised of how many shows, pilots, and movies get made and never get shown.
That's 100% true. 100% true.
It's a shame, but I've learned that. And just because you make it doesn't mean it's going to come out. So which is crazy. But anyways, I digress.
I hear that. Devin, you want to ask any AEW questions or anything?
Yeah. So, well, first off, by the way, I didn't even know you were making a movie. So, real quick, can you tell us a little bit about it? Because this is news to me, so I'm actually kind of excited. I'm gonna go watch the trailer after this.
It was just a documentary about where I was in my life. Maybe before COVID for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just it chronicles some things I was going through and had struggled with. So, it was just a documentary really of what was going on in my life at that time. So,
okay.
It was approached. I was approached to do it when I was, and I don't want to give too much away, but just go and watch the trailer. It's interesting. Just that's the best I can tell you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send it to you. We're going to put the link down here as well, so you guys can check it out too.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, back to AEW. The one question I have for you is, I always felt like, and I always call it the AEW problem, is that AEW relies a bit too heavily on their former WWE superstars over some of their AEW original superstars. How do you feel about that?
I just think the biggest problem they have, and I think this goes with both the AEW guys and the WWE guys, is they have so many. I mean, the talent pool that they have, they've literally signed everybody to their fault, really. I guess, I understand that money to them may not be an option, and there are methods to Tony Khan's madness. But that being said, there's he's got all this talent, but nobody is over at all. Not one person other than, you could argue, MJF.
MJF, yeah.
MJF is over. But MJF, I mean, let's be frank, MJF, as good as he is, and he's on a rocket ship right now, and but he still has a ways to go. He still has 2 or 3 years left, not left, but 2 or 3 years till I think he ascends to household name. He's not there yet. But like everybody else, really, and I mean everybody from Jon Moxley to Bryan Danielson, all these guys are and these are main event guys. These are WWE WrestleMania main event guys. Ice cold. The Hardys, who you can say at one point were one of the hottest teams in the world. I understand.
Yeah, definitely.
Whatever. But just when it seems like when they go back to WWE, they're red hot again. It's just there's a curse there in some ways, and I don't know how to put my hand on it. Well, there's a bunch of things, but it just seems like when you go to AEW, man, it's just it's like great for that 1 or 2 weeks, and then it's like you fall off. It's like not. It's like really like I can't explain it. It's so weird. They're just the product itself is ice cold. Their ticket sales have been almost cut in half from the previous times they've gone to these venues. They're having a hard time,
especially after the Punk situation.
Yeah, that thing is a joke. I mean, the way it was all handled, and I don't even know how the right way to handle it is.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how do you feel about that?
I think it's all so ridiculous. It comes down to dude. Could you imagine in 1996 or 97 me crying that somebody threatened me in a fight or something?
No.
Or whatever, dude. People would get beat up in the locker rooms like all the time.
Yeah.
There were fights. There was not like anything huge, but like. Now it's like, what are you fucking offended? What are you like? You know what I mean? You're scared. Come on, dude. Could you imagine doing that in the NFL today?
Oh,
We're supposed to be tough dudes. Even in practice, the guys sometimes fight with each other, like push each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying kill each other, but guys get heated. And sometimes, man, this is all child's play. These kids got to grow up. Most of them are not ready to be on television. They never have been on television. All they know is AEW. Yeah. I hear the respect for the veterans is a complete, like, it doesn't even happen. They don't want to hear from the veterans.
Yeah, Punk mentioned that about Hangman actually being disrespectful.
Big mistake. It's a big mistake. Not that you have to listen to everything the veterans say. But Jesus, if ECW didn't listen to like guys like me, Sabu, Tommy Dreamer, we didn't listen to Terry Funk, we'd be in trouble. And the list goes on and on. You always need veterans to kind of help the youth. And then the youth with their new ideas kind of can, mix it up and like, well, the veteran way was good, but how about we had this new shit and kind of meld it all together and work it out together. Because, you can't reinvent the wheel. You don't need to reinvent the wheel because obviously what they're doing isn't working. All we do is see, Dynamite is 15-minute matches with guys doing a bunch of flippy shit. Nobody sells anything. Nobody's hot. Nobody's selling a ticket. There's some guys people like more than others. But again, everything is forgettable. Storylines don't exist. Characters barely exist. Where are the days of interesting characters? Like, who was the last person to do a character like Kane or whatever? Anything like that. Just anything. Come up with something.
That's one thing I always love.
Try something. You had Wardlow, who at one point was having like a Goldberg style run with the TNT title, just like crushing people every week. And then all of a sudden he grows ice cold. They just stop having him on. And they couldn't hear the people. It's like so much of that shit's going on, dude. It's wild. So they have so many problems. I could sit here all night.
We get it. Because you watched it from beginning to end, so from it at one point, it's crazy. Like where it was just last time actually we talked and you were saying how they were very inconsistent. This was like 2 years ago. How we were talking about Private Party. I think last time you were saying how they were on TV for a little, then they were off. A while. Yeah, and then they come back and you're expected to remember. You said the same about Scorpio Sky, and it's crazy how nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed in these years. Man. I still don't know anything about Private Party.
Yeah, I don't even know where they're at.
Matt Hardy, like that was it. Yeah,
Scorpio Sky's probably only been on TV once or twice since then.
Yeah,
and that was a long time ago.
That was 2 years ago.
Think about that shit, bro. That's wild. I need that kind of job. I need that kind of job.
That is crazy.
Get those checks coming to my house where I don't know how to show up. Whoa. It's like winning the fucking lottery.
Best job ever. I will say when you talk about character work, though, I will say I loved Orange Cassidy at the beginning of AEW. I still like Orange Cassidy, but I feel like at the beginning of AEW, he was running a gimmick that WWE would have never allowed. I don't think they ever allowed the small style. I don't think it would have worked because it would have immediately been a joke and never taken as seriously as he does for it still being a joke gimmick. But I do think he was one of the AEW original characters that I was like, that's top tier.
I agree. And he's done. I didn't like it at first, but I've grown into it now. That being said, he has also proven as a wrestler, his run with the international title has really helped him, kind of show himself as a top tier guy. So again, there are ways to do it. And I'm not a writer. I'm not a booker. I'm not telling you I know what to do, but I know when I see it. I know when I see it. And and there are guys that have been successful. There's so many good guys, but again, AEW has literally cooled off anybody that really mattered,
Yeah.
And and again, the other thing that I can't stand is Ring of Honor. There's like 50 titles, dude. Ring of Honor 6-man, Ring of Honor. There's a Ring of Honor Western States Heritage, probably. It's a joke.
But everybody and their mother has a title these days on AEW.
Or the Ring of Honor Southern States Junior title. But it's a joke, dude. But anyways, I just really wish, because they have so much and so many resources to money, to television and to resources, that if they really wanted to do something, man, they could blow this fucking universe apart and do some amazing stuff. They just don't have the balls, man. Think about it. All that shit that happened at Wembley Stadium, instead of us talking about the Gate and how great of a show it was.
Me and Devin talked about that.
What a spectacle it was, right? I watched it. Everybody watched it. Amazing. And all we got out of it was bullshit.
Yep.
And instead of that being the showcase, for AEW moving forward, it became one of their worst points in their history.
That's true. And it's sad.
It's sad because they'll never draw that again.
And I hate to compare the two, but like I couldn't imagine a WrestleMania having 80,000 people, and then the only thing wrestling fans are talking about is the backstage fight. Instead of the 80,000 people, the showcase, like I couldn't imagine, Vince would never, have that.
There's no, listen, and I don't mean to be a dick, but there's no real authority. There's no real, people there's nobody that is respected. Like if you did that shit in WWE, not only would the office come down on you and its employees from talent relations and
boys too.
Producers, etc. You'd also have Undertaker in your face. You'd also have Bradshaw. You'd be probably, you'd probably have to get out of the building before they kicked your ass or found you. Seriously.
It's very true. Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck? Because not only are you hurting yourself, asshole, you're hurting me in this company. If you're hurting the company, you're hurting me. And you're hurting my paycheck. Yeah. Get your shit together. Like, who the fuck? Why didn't somebody pull those guys aside? I'd have pulled CM Punk aside and been like, dude, I don't know if you're right or wrong, but chill the fuck out.
Yeah. And they said Samoa Joe was the guy who was playing that, he broke voice of reason, broke it up. Yeah. Being that guy of like, come on, let's just get to the show.
I highly doubt there was much of a breakup because those two guys couldn't fucking beat up a paper bag, but I'm just saying, it's just silly. Overall of that, it's just silly, dude. And I used to love Jack Perry too. I thought he had all the potential in the world. I lost so much respect for him. It's wild. He seems like just a fucking glorified little douche that just does not care. It's sad. And I think we all, once again, we made a bigger deal out of it than it ever should have been, including Tony Khan. Problem is, Tony Khan doesn't know how to manage his company. And I know a lot of people don't like Jim Cornette, and sometimes I'd agree with him all the time either. But he's right on a lot of things, and especially on Tony Khan, unfortunately.
Yep, definitely. Devin, you was going to say something?
Yeah, no, I felt like if that whole situation would have happened in WWE too, they would have called an audible on the match too. Especially if they knew they were going to fire Punk, they would have had Joe take the belt. So that way they still had a world champ for the Collision. I think that would have been an audible that should have been called, and they didn't. And now it's like the title's just in the air. It's been missing. I haven't seen it since Collision.
Right.
Yeah, it's like they're just trying to move away from all that, and it's
just imagine the kind of people that WWE are, though. Remember the screw job there.
Yeah,
you had Montreal screw job.
Yep.
You had agents. You had Briscoe, Patterson, Vince, Lanza. Like, trust me, I worked with all these dudes. These are badass dudes. You had all these guys down there, kind of, in the, working the gimmick and trying to figure out what the fuck are we doing here. And AEW has no idea because nobody wants to listen to producers that know better. I mean, the names I just said to you, Lanza, Patterson, Briscoe, these are goddamn legends in the business. And then, no wonder people will respect and listen to them. AEW, nobody's respecting or listening to the bosses. How are you going to move forward when the inmates are running the asylum?
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's real sad that's the case too, because there's so many legends they have that's over there, like Dean Malenko, Jerry Lynn, Jake the Snake. Oh man, so many. Taz, yeah, that you could learn from. Even Bryan Danielson, and it's like, man, it's crazy, and we're really thinking about like from our last talk where they were to where they're at now. It's crazy. From 2 years ago when we last talked. It's where they were then and where they are now, and it's still like not much has changed.
No, and it's not going to. I don't feel, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one thing that surprised me was after the first incident with Punk and the Elite, they were talking about that they need to do locker room leaders because they felt like the VPs being the locker room leaders was contradicting. Right. I'm surprised Jericho never like stepped up with him being like because to me Jericho's like on my Mount Rushmore of wrestling. He's a guy who knows the business in and out.
I don't think it's not for everybody. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's I don't know. I don't think a lot of people want that responsibility.
Okay. Yeah.
I certainly always enjoyed it because but then again, that depends if you have young men and women that are willing to take that and to take those take your word and to agree, to just kind of work with you. Then you're more apt to giving it. When it's like when people are resisting it, it's like, fuck you, dude. Why do I have to help you? Why do I have to teach you to get over, motherfucker? No, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Like we're willing to give you a gift, and you're not willing to take it. Go fuck yourself. Mm-hmm. So again, it's on the younger guys to really just step up in every way, not just in listening to veterans, in every way.
That's 100% true. And, even to piggyback on that, listen to the veterans, like, you mentioned Terry Funk was, vital for ECW in your career, and many others in the locker room. And, many other veterans that would come through, like I remember Dusty came through, Scott Hall came through, a lot of others. And you guys took in all that, and really let it shine onto your characters and propelled you. And, I know you were really close to Terry Funk. Terry Funk was my dad's favorite wrestler. I don't know if you seen the tribute video I sent you, Justin, of it.
I did.
Yeah. Man, it was real sad. Awesome. Thank you. It was real sad to hear him his passing. I know you guys were close. I wanted to ask you, what was some of the best advice Terry Funk has ever gave you in the ring and even out the ring?
I'll just say this one thing, and he goes, God damn it, Justin, I don't care if you're making $1 million or $10. If you love this business, go out there and enjoy it. And when you stop enjoying it, don't do it. And that was that. And that's very true. That's very true. Because when you stop loving it, and then that thing you have, when it becomes about money or status or anything else, then that thing, the pain becomes more real. Everything hurts a lot more, and the whole thrill is gone. So those are great words to live by for in everything, really, not just wrestling.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's some real wise words right there for real. You could use that even without, wrestling, real life stuff. Exactly. Yeah. Love it. And another one was Scott Hall, as we mentioned on podcast before, when you really broke in when before Aldo Montoya, you guys were like really, really close. And I know he's passed since our last interview, and I wanted to ask you that same question, for all your fans to know, like, what's the best thing that Scott taught you in the ring and out the ring?
Just just to be yourself. He always felt in wrestling, there's an authenticity that kind of is transparent to fans. And he said, if you just go out there and be you, or not, and if you go out there and try to be something you're not, it's never gonna work. So just go out there and always be true to yourself. I know that sounds very broad, but it was very true. Scott was always, that was Razor Ramon was Scott Hall.
Rest in peace to both legends, for real.
Yeah, man. It's crazy that they're both gone.
Yeah, we've lost a lot I think the last 4 years in wrestling. We've lost, Bray Wyatt, of course, the biggest, most shocking one recently. Of course, Terry Funk day before that, and many others. This year alone, like it's been crazy.
Yeah.
Devin, you got a question?
I mean, this was kind of a little while back when I thought about it, but this kind of goes back to the locker room, obviously, because you've spent a lot of time in a locker room. So is it as intense in a locker room for a newer wrestler as it sounds?
Yeah, it was like that. I don't think it's like that anymore. I really don't. But it was for a very long time. And it was like that when I was there in the early 90s, trying to just come up, and that's kind of like why I rode with Scott and Sean and Kevin, those guys, just to kind of get some, not even protection, but like so they could help me, teach me how to be, because you're really just you don't know anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for sure, it's but it's not like that anymore. In some ways, it's good. In some ways, it's bad, because by being that way, and I know it sounds weird and harsh and unfair, but you learn to respect not only the business, but everything you get is a gift, and then the friendships, and then the respect, and then you doing that to the other guys coming in as far as teaching them, and it's just all like, you want to. Well, the reason they do that is to weed out the douchebags.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the army almost in the hazing, and I don't like hazing, but it's almost like, do you have what it takes to be one of us? Because this thing we have is pretty special. Mm-hmm. And if you have what it takes, you'll forever be one of us, and we'll protect you. Not protect you, but then it's yours to protect. Yeah, it's weird. I'm not doing.
No, you're. I understand completely.
It's almost like the mob. It's not easy to get into, but once you get in, you're protected, and then you also can't get out. But that's another story.
That is true. And also, Justin, you were trending pretty big on Instagram. I don't know if you noticed Instagram and TikTok.
I did not.
From Chris Van Velite, yeah, because he posted like the top recommended episodes.
Oh, really?
To check it, yeah, and then yours was on there, and it was trending, and a lot of people were checking it out and commenting how much you opening up about your personal life. And we don't have to go into all details, of course, but opening up about it has really helped bring more awareness to people that don't know from that side, and just how honest and genuine you were in the interview. So I just want to know your thoughts on that.
I didn't even know that was happening. Well, you learn something new every day. I'll have to check it out. Definitely.
So, Justin, what we normally do here that we like for Wrestle Theory is we do a match of the week, and it could be from any era, any type of company, any promotion, just a match that we really appreciate and we thought it was awesome, and then we think that our Wrestle Theorist fans or any fans that may see this could check it out. So I want to ask you, what would be your match of the week for anyone to check out?
Wow. One of my favorites, this is going back to 1989. It was WCW. I think it was a Clash of the Champions, New York Knockout. They wrestled in Troy, New York. It was Terry Funk versus the Nature Boy Ric Flair. And for the finish of the match, that was when Muta came out, and then Funk tried to suffocate Flair with the plastic bag over his head.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
who does that, right? That's so. I want to. If I wrestle soon, I'm bringing that back. That's a great. Because that's such a horrific.
Please bring it back.
Right? What a visual! You don't have to hurt anybody, right? It's not a big blam, right? You're not crushing somebody with a gimmick, but you're just covering his head, taking all his oxygen. It's fantastic visual. And that was that match: Terry Funk, Ric Flair. In Albany, New York, for the Clash of the Champions. New York Knockout was the name of the clash.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Devin, how about you, brother?
All right. Well, to keep the theme extreme, since we have a former ECW World Heavyweight Champion with us, my match is going to be 2017 Hell in the Cell. It'll be the Usos versus the New Day. That was a great match. But at the time, the two tag teams were definitely at the head of WWE's tag division. But the match, what really stuck out to me was how extreme it was honestly, it was Xavier Woods, I think, was the highlight of the match for me, because like he wrestles with so much emotion and passion, which kind of goes into what you were talking about, what Terry Funk told you about, like, you know, if you don't love it, don't do it. And like, he's one of those wrestlers I can know with my whole heart that he loves what he does and he puts 100% into it every time.
For sure.
100%. 100%, man. And, you know, like my favorite match, I'm going to pick with you, Justin, actually, you winning the ECW World Champion from Tommy Dreamer. It was, and it's crazy because, you know, I know, you know, the backstory because we talked about it, but, you know, just knowing the backstory and then also looking at it from a fan's point when I first, you know, knew about the match and seen it, even as a young kid, I was. And the shock of like, oh my God, I can't believe Justin Credible just won, because he was already tag champion and it just kind of happened out of nowhere. And then just Joey Styles just selling it. Dreamer never even got a chance to put on the belt. Like, it was just amazing. And I loved y'all feud, man. Just the back and forth, just hardcore. Like, it was amazing. I love it. Just love it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Appreciate it.
Yep. No problem, Justin. And, like, I know you say you don't keep up too much with WWE, but I don't know if you heard about The Rock returning to WWE just recently.
I saw that. Yes, I saw that on TikTok. I do scroll. I mean, I do check out social media. So a lot of stuff, like you said, I'll watch like either through YouTube clips or TikTok. So I did see that. What a pop.
Yeah, I know, right? And it was crazy. But a lot of backlash is coming towards The Rock because of Cody Rhodes fans, where they're feeling like him coming back could have jeopardized Cody Rhodes winning. So I was going to ask,
they got to stop.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was your comment on that, or your side on that?
It's ridiculous. Look, The Rock is the biggest star in the world, not just in wrestling, in the world. So I think everybody, including Cody Rhodes, will be all right, and we'll all figure this out. Everybody will make money, more than you and I, so they'll be okay with it, more than the fans. They'll be just fine. I'm sure Cody will be just fine.
All right,
so,
Devin,
don't watch our last episode. I may have said some things.
I mean, look, you could listen. You could have ways to think about it, and that's fine too. Mm-hmm. It's all, you know. It's like being a armchair quarterback when you have those programs on ESPN and you're an analyst and you talk and stuff. It's just opinion, and that's fine. But you know, the reality is, dude, these guys are making money. They're getting compensated so well, and I honestly don't think this is going to hurt Rock or Cody. And I mean, it's not going to hurt Rock, but I mean hurt Cody in any way, because who knows? If that was going to be his spot. That's just speculation. You really never know the truth.
That is fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You really never know the truth. Just like we all thought he was going to win that night last year.
Yeah.
You never really, you know what I mean? So listen, and there's a million ways to make an omelet. You know, so, and Vince is very aware that Rock for one night, yeah, you can get a payoff in a pay-per-view. Who's to say that, you know what I mean, Roman Reigns and Rock doesn't happen and Cody doesn't take the belt on Raw? There's a million ways to do business, guys. We can't forget that. There's, you know what I mean? There's just, you know, it's all good. I think it's all positive, and the more eyeballs you could bring like The Rock, the better.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely from a box office standpoint. So Justin, and
they're all going to make money. And like I said, they're going to be a lot happier than you and I, because they'll get those WrestleMania checks that I miss so much.
Yeah. And actually, I was watching a podcast before this you did, and you talking about your WrestleMania moment. Can you talk about it for the wrestle-theorist fans that may not have known it, like just the magnitude and just the build-up and, you know, your moment of seeing that sea of people? I think it was when you talked about it was like over 70,000 when you was there.
Yeah.
You talk about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, quickly, because it went by so quickly. But it was WrestleMania 17, the Houston Astrodome, Rock versus Austin, the legendary one, you know.
Favorite one.
And, yeah, it was. I mean, it was crazy. It almost felt like it didn't happen. It was so quick. And a little tidbit on that. My son had flown into Houston, Texas, and he'd gotten sick on the flight. Him and my wife flew in for the weekend, and he got sick on the flight. He had a stomach bug, and then in turn, going into that match, I had a stomach bug, running a fever, and when I got back to the hotel after that night at WrestleMania, I didn't go to the after party. I ended up puking all over the place at the hotel. It was not a very good night for me, other than having to be there in front of all those people, which was cool, but I don't remember any of it. Believe it or not. Yeah. Because it's so quick and you're nervous, and it's everything happens so fast.
Mm. And it was such an interesting time when that happened too, because it was like ECW just went out of business not too long after.
Oh, yeah.
And they have WCW guys in the sky boxes, and they shouted them out there before Chains, and it was like really, and a lot of people even say like they felt that was like the end of the Attitude Era was actually at that moment of WrestleMania 17. You feel that way too?
Yeah, 100%, 100%, for sure.
And Justin, you stay busy with reviewing AEW, and I know you got your YouTube channel still too. I wanted to ask, where can all my wrestle-theorist fans out here and anybody else find you on social media and to check you out?
Absolutely. Just follow me on both Twitter and Instagram at PJ Polacco, and you can go on over to YouTube and just hit the search engine, put in Just Incredible Pro Wrestling 101. You'll have 30-40 of my Pro Wrestling 101 videos. And if you're interested in any one of my t-shirts, go on over to prowrestlingtees.com/Just Incredible. And that is all.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we put all that in the description. Devin Uso, you got anything else you want to ask before we wrap up?
Yeah, just one last question. So obviously you being an ECW original, what was your take on like WWE's like reboot of ECW?
Oh man. They had an opportunity to do something special, and the way they did it, they just killed it, and we all thought it could happen the first year with the one night stands and so forth, and house shows at first in the beginning or in the first couple of TVs, and then after the first month or so, it was just had Vince's handprints all over it, and it just became what it is or what it was.
Not ECW.
Yeah. And it's crazy when you mention that, because I remember the shift when like you could tell Paul Heyman was still very hands on and had a lot of influence in there. And as soon as Paul and Vince got into it and he left, the switch, you could see it. Big Show is champion, then it goes to Bobby Lashley, then it goes to another WE guy, and it's like, what's going on?
It's just horrible. But anyways, what are you gonna do?
Yep. I know. Right?
All right, guys, I gotta go. I actually gotta go somewhere soon. So I will. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me, and we'll see each other down the road, man.
All right, Justin. Thank you again for being part of the Wrestle Theory podcast. Now we'll see you soon, brother.
Be blessed.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Have a great one.
Yep, no problem, brother.
Bye.
All right. And how great was that, man? We got to have Justin Incredible on Wrestle Theory.
Our first guest, man. I'm excited. Wow, I'm still like nervous, man. That was awesome.
I know, right? I remember I was a little more calmer in this one because I interviewed him, before People's Choice. But I remember that first time it was like, man, you just get like oh man, knots. You used to like, oh man, I don't want to sound crazy or
don't say nothing stupid.
Yeah, like all these thoughts go in your head. But it's so cool that you give that time to us and a lot of the insights. Please, all wrestle theorists out there, check out Just Incredible's links. It's going to be all in the description. Also, like I said, on Pro Wrestling Tee, he has his t-shirts and stuff. YouTube, Pro Wrestling 101. So much good insight, especially if you're an indie wrestling, which I know a lot of them. Check that out because it can really help you prepare, not just for veteran talk, but also locker room etiquette, from like literally putting a match together, giving color, all types of stuff. So it's real informative. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
And Devin Uso, man, that was a great episode, man. I think we did really well. And any last words you want to give to the Wrestle Theorists before we wrap up?
Yeah, boys and girls, be smooth now.
Be smooth. And we'll see y'all next time.